Right, off we
Right.
go then.
Yeah, Keith was talking about the cards. I'll let you
Yeah.
leave you to it, Keith.
Okay, I was at Q yesterday, and I had a chance to do some of my own work for a change. Um, and I was going through the questionnaires looking for men who were on the long march. But I thought while I was going through them, I would pick out anything of interest. And one of them referred to a guy who was an escapee, and I'll send you the details gladly. And this guy escaped, realised it wasn't going to be a success, and then came back into the camp and managed to convince the Japanese that he'd got lost. Um, and the guy whose questionnaire I was looking at said this period was referred to on his Japanese POW card is all written in Japanese. And I thought this would be interesting to see what that guy's POW card is on Find My Past. So I'm going to pull that down. And if there is no Japanese writing on the back of that card, it is possible it is pointing to evidence of the cards kept by each group on the railway. Because this was a Thai Burma Railway one. And as I think we've realised that most of those cards went up in smoke in 1945. At least the POWs reported seeing large fires along various camps of the railway, and we assume that those cards, went up in smoke. But it's all assumption at the moment. So I'll do a bit more digging. It's something else that looks quite interesting. Let's see if I've put it here. No, I haven't. It's interesting. I mean, I came across another guy, First Leicester's, all right, captured in Penang on the 4th of April, 1942. How the hell did he manage to evade capture for 2 months, or almost 2 months? Strange, but interesting. So, just various bits and pieces starting to be uncovered.
Yeah, a lot of them. What I've read, a lot of the POWs that, the men that fought in Malaya didn't escape, and they did go to Penang.
Mm.
So that could have been where the 2 months come in, Keith.
It could well have been. I find it of interest. I was going to tap Mr. Mr. Hewitt on the shoulder and say, "Oi, what do you know about this, Ken? You're doing the First Leicesters," and see if he can throw any light on it.
Yeah. I think, Keith, they believed that they could catch a boat from Penang.
Yeah. No, it would make sense, really. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Another one that Argyle of Sutherland Highlanders I pulled out. He was captured in Kuala Lumpur a week after the surrender in Singapore.
Did that relate to? We haven't got Ray on at the moment, but David, his mate.
Dave
they were actually in Kuala Lumpur. They escaped, didn't they? And they did behind the lines fighting, against the Japanese. Could that be one of them?
Possibly.
Because he would have had, about 2 months.
Yeah.
About 2 months behind enemy lines. He could have just given up with the rest of them. That's just a thought.
Yeah, it's interesting. I must admit, you sort of start coming across odds and sods, and you think, another one I came across. Date of capture was 1945, and he was an airman. His aircraft had been shot down. He was captured with the other two of the crew, including the pilot and the tail gunner, had contact with the friendly Thais, and they escaped back to India. And this guy spent about 3 months as a guest of the Japanese. But I suppose that's the luck of the draw, really, for the want of better terminology.
Yeah, I'm up to the K's now. I'm going to. The database I'm doing, Keith, is based on the cards.
Yep.
But there are some, of course, missing, which I have picked up from the FEPOW one.
Yep.
Yeah, the FEPOW database. So I have actually filled up spaces so there's no spaces. But we were talking a little while ago about the double cards,
Yep.
and if you have a look now at the database, I've uploaded up to eyes. So if you have a look at the database now, and if they've got two names in the database, that is the two cards.
Right.
So you will find the double cards you can pick up from the database. Most of them are those that died, but I have come across a couple of double cards which actually didn't die. So why they had double cards, I don't know. That's been quite interesting, the card thing, but there's so many mistakes. I mean, they're just like us. I mean, I've found some of my mistakes today, you know, and when I've written down the date they were captured, I've made mistakes. So they made mistakes as well in the camps.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
I think these cards might have been. It's trying to just put this one to bed. Definitely, and I don't know whether we ever will. This might have been. Morning, Jan, or good evening, Jan, over there. We think these cards might have been the Tokyo ones that the Japanese were ordered to complete as part of the surrender agreement. Now we got ours. Not sure about the Dutch. Australians only got 4,000 of them, so they're 20,000 light. Canadians, I don't think have got any. So if these are Tokyo cards, for argument's sake, although I'm not saying they are, but if they are, they were reliant on information supplied to them by the teams on the railway.
Yeah, you have
according to
found that Dutch site, Keith, which has got
Yes.
all the Dutch Japanese index cards on it.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me, because they've also got their
that's
civilians.
Yeah,
There's a Dutch site with all the civilian registration cards on it as well, which we
Yeah.
haven't got in the UK.
No, well, I've got some civilians which I found the FEPOW website didn't put on. Most of the civilians are off the ships, though.
Yes.
The ships that were captured.
Yep.
But I've classified them as civilians because they didn't have a service number. So I've put them down as civilians. There's one, the Attorney General of Singapore, and he's classified as a civilian, and he's got a card. So there are some cards in there, but not a lot, of course.
Did he? Well, mostly I think the civilian cards are the guys that ended up in Japan.
Yeah.
I think.
When I can't stop and go back on the cards.
Oh
now,
no, you can't. You'll be there forever.
Well, at the moment, I'm going mad on trying to get everything on. And by lunchtime, my brain is absolutely skewered.
Yeah, it would be.
So I get up about 6, and I've gone through about 23,000 now cards. But I haven't viewed the back. I have viewed some of the backs, but not all the backs. But when I get all these on the database and get them on live, I'll start going through the backs of the cards to see what happened.
Well, on the FEPOW database, Ronnie, what I will tell you, I have gone through WO392. I have added, or I will be adding, all of the names that are not on the database in terms of the military. So these will be people like who were with the British Armed Forces, be they volunteers or whatever, but they had a Gashanthe put next to their name other than British. So I've got to add all those. I've got the list of civilians in 392. But I'm just going to get the military updated on the FEPOW database, and then any corrections and any additions, because if they didn't have a POW card, there's a very good chance they were not in WO392. And I've found about 25 so far, and still looking.
Yeah, well, in the index cards on Find My Past, they have got some Australians and not any Dutch as far as I can find, but they've got some British, mainly Royal Artillery, that were in some of the Dutch battalions, which is strange because they've given all the particulars in Dutch, but they were British.
I wonder, I came across one the other day for Tom Jowett, and the way that destroyer was spelt, I thought, nah, come on, that's a Dutch spelling. So I'm wondering whether the Japanese employed the Dutch to make out some of the cards, and they couldn't speak English, so they made them out in Dutch.
Yeah.
Again, but they were not using captured American typewriters. They were using typewriters either they had or been taken into captivity, evidently. So Ron Bridge told me, if you get a POW card for the Java Sumatra people, and it's all in uppercase, that's because it's been typed on a captured American typewriter. Because they only typed in uppercase.
Oh, am I sharing the screen, or is somebody sharing the screen?
Yep.
Looks like somebody is.
Can you hear me, Ron?
Oh, yeah.
Bernard?
Sorry, Bernard. I can see you, Bernard.
Ron,
Right.
I've been watching you since 5 to 10.
Have you? I
Yeah.
didn't see it.
And
were you under user? Because you weren't under Bernard.
I don't
Because
know.
there was a user on there.
There's
there
one
was no video coming through.
There's one under
Yeah.
Bernard, and I can see Bernard now. He's moving it
We've
about.
got two.
And there's another one which is user. I don't know who user is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm having echo as well.
Right.
Oh, you're okay here.
Right. Yeah, Bernard. I thought. Yeah, I didn't see you, Bernard, because you definitely weren't under Bernard on there. But anyway,
Ron,
you're there now. You're there
Ron,
now.
I'm watching you on my monitor, and I'm talking to you on my phone.
Same as last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you put your camera down a bit, Bernard, so we can see your face? That's it. That's it, mate.
That's it.
A little bit. The other. Yeah, that's great. That's great. We can see you now. All your fine features are there.
But this is my phone, and I'm watching you on my monitor.
Oh, you're getting good, Bernard. You're doubling up, mate.
That's why I've got the echo.
Ah, yeah.
You hear me now?
Yep.
So are you coming through on user as well as Bernard then? No, you.
I think we should introduce whoever the user is and welcome
whoever
him.
the user is, welcome.
It's me. It is. I'm on the two.
No, there's somebody else on user.
Somebody else is on as user.
Yeah. Can
Let me knock my monitor off.
No, you're okay, Bernard. Stay where you are.
Yeah, but I'm also on my phone.
All right.
Yeah,
working.
just
Don't
leave
worry about it.
Bernard. You're okay, mate.
No, the gentleman on as user is not you, Bernard.
Yeah.
So whoever user is, welcome.
The user with the headphones. All right. The user with the headphones. We don't know your name.
I don't know if he can hear us.
That's okay. Yeah. I reckon he can hear us, but let me just see if he's.
He might have just turned his microphone on. Yeah.
No, the mic is on. I've got two users. Well, one of them's Bernard.
Yeah, no, we've got Bernard up. Okay.
Yeah, we're okay with Bernard. So just stay where you are, Bernard. You're all right. Yeah, right. So let's get back to what we were talking about. Yeah. So if you want to know if they've got double cards, if you look at the database, that's under. I've put it under FEPOW family. I haven't put it under
Can I just
Roll of
interrupt?
Honour. Yeah.
Sorry, Ronnie, but I think our new user, and welcome to him, I think he just typed us a message that he can hear us.
I can hear you, but my microphone's not working.
Yeah. So is there any way we can help this gentleman to join us?
Because this mic, I can't turn anything else on.
I've got the same. I can only talk to you on my phone.
That's a complicated
you're
way of doing
right,
it.
Bernard. Yeah, you leave Bernard. You're okay, mate. We can hear you.
Yeah, but I'm watching you on my phone
Yeah, it's okay.
and my monitor.
Yeah,
but
it's
you're
okay.
okay,
Doesn't matter.
Bernard.
It's coming through.
Ronnie,
You're
can you hear
okay.
me now?
Yeah,
Can you hear
that's
me
it.
now,
We can
Ronnie?
hear you.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
here. You can hear me.
Yep.
Yes, great.
Brilliant.
Great. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, good morning, Ronnie, and others. My name's Matt Stanyard. I've been communicating
Oh, that
with
is
Ronnie.
Matt. Great.
I've
Matt,
been trying to get in to the last couple of weeks, but I've not been able to get this thing to work, but it's working now.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
great.
Welcome.
Great.
Welcome.
Now, Matt, for those who didn't understand what I wrote on the, Matt got in touch with me a couple of months back and said he'd like to run a book raffle, and the funds would go to FEPOW. Okay, so that was a great idea, but then I had a thought and thought, yeah, could we use it to introduce people into the charities section of the FEPOW family? And if we could get, say, about 60 members, we could put the price down and also take up Matt's idea of running a raffle, but make it a free raffle per month to try and encourage people to join the charity side of the FEPOW family. Of course, you know, we all, the charity side helps subsidize the expenses of the websites. Not my expenses, because mine are free, but the expenses of putting it on the web. And so I thought it was a decent idea, and we have had 50 saying yes, they would like to join, and 15 maybes. So getting to that, a brilliant idea, Matt. Okay, it was a brilliant idea. Yeah, brilliant idea. Can we have some feedback, please, from members? Start with Keith.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to do, Ronnie. It'd be a very good idea. I think it's the problem we have is trying to get people to come onto this meeting.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah.
You advertise it. You do it after every meeting. You put something on the FEPOW family site, and also on Facebook. And we just don't seem to be getting people coming in, and I don't know why.
It's difficult to. I've been. Not every computer is compatible with Blue Jeans. I've found. I can on my other computer, I can't. It won't accept it. I've had to come up to the bedroom and use the one up here, the old one.
That's interesting.
So maybe it's not. It's maybe people are finding it difficult to actually join in. I mean, this morning, it's the first time I've used this, and it's taken me half an hour basically since before 10 o'clock to try and get through.
Yeah. Well, you're coming through quite well now, and the pictures are good, and the sound is good, Matt.
I'm frightening everybody.
We all frighten people.
Ron,
Yes, Bernard, go on.
Ron, I've knocked my computer off now, right? And I'm watching you on my phone.
Yes, they're going to get a picture.
Good picture.
That's the picture
sound.
that you're seeing. I can't get you on my computer.
All right.
Well, if you were nearer, Bernard, but Wales is a long way from me in Norfolk. If you were nearer, I'd pop in and see you, but I can't. I mean, it's a long way for me to travel.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Well, I thought you were very clever, Ron, and you could come up the pipe.
Yeah. Well, I could take it and ask Martin if he could just pop over.
Flying.
Yeah. Can you fly over, Martin, and just put it right for him? Right. No, you'll have to use your phone. We had this before, Bernard, where you couldn't get in on your computer, and you
Yeah.
had to use your pad, if I
My
remember.
pad's gone now.
Where's that
I had an update of McAfee on my tablet and it wiped me out.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh.
Yeah.
I don't use the coffee.
from? Is it your reputation?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Some upgrades have a nasty way of doing that.
Well,
They
Yeah.
do.
you know, about 2 months ago, I had trouble.
Yeah.
The trouble is with Windows, they keep doing so many updates, and every time they do an update, they alter everything, and you have to try and get everything back. I mean, they'll wipe out your mic, they'll wipe out your camera, and then you've got to get everything back. You know, I mean, this is good. I mean, that's good to see faces, to talk.
I can't get it back, Ron.
What you're saying?
It wiped out my Google. It wiped out my what do you call it? My app shop, isn't it? What do you call it? It wiped it all out.
All your apps.
Yeah, I can't update or anything. And I've been on to McAfee. McAfee has been back and forth to me, and they told me no, but because my tablet is 4-year-old, it's out of date.
Can't you go back and take it off?
I couldn't take McAfee off. They had to do it from their end, and now they've done that, and I'm blocked on everything else.
Yeah, I used to use McAfee because you know we had a TV shop and I did computers, and we used to use McAfee, but I had so many problems with it, I didn't bother putting it on anymore. I always use AVG.
Yeah, but you see,
Yeah.
Good.
McAfee was pre-downloaded.
Yeah, a lot
I
of them
couldn't do
do
anything
that.
about it.
Yeah, if you get Windows 10, if you get a new computer on Windows 10, they have McAfee running in the background, and you have to take it off before you can do anything else.
Yeah, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that.
Tablet. Yeah, tablet.
You have to go on settings in the tablets and take it off. McAfee's terrible. I had it and
that ain't very good. Yeah, they ain't very good at all.
So like you say, AVG is probably the better one.
Yeah, AVG is good. That's what I always recommended in the shop. Well, I always used to put the free version on and say to people, get the updated version, which I use on mine, and this is really good. There's no problems with it at all. But anyway, getting back to where we were. Yeah, so I think Matt's idea is a good idea, but what we've got to decide is, can we use it to generate more people into the charity group, and therefore trying and get more people on the video, so we can have more in the video meetings, or what do we do really? I mean, we can leave it to Matt just to run a raffle so people pay to go into it, or we can do one free book a month and take up Matt's idea and try and entice more people into the charity side of the FEPOW family.
I think. Sorry, Ronnie.
Go on, Matt.
I think the idea of a free raffle is a better one. Nobody's got to enter anything then. We just, as members and potential members, give them the potential members the chance to enter the raffle as they join. So they're automatically enrolled as they join. I'm administrator and moderator on quite a few pages about Burma and India, but mainly Burma in the Far East. I'm I will promote it on those pages. I mean, you remember a few, Ronnie, anyway.
Yeah.
And see if we can just get some. I mean, I couldn't make because I was at the Burma Star AGM on the Saturday. I couldn't make the FEPOW one on Sunday. And you're down your neck of the woods. But I was a bit. I mean, people are. There's no two ways about it. People are dying out. And the Burma Star is actually finishing next VGA Day, which is 2020.
Oh, right.
That's it. They'll be closed.
Oh.
And I've been, for 2 years, I've been shouting, and Bill Slim backed me, but he couldn't change what was happening with the constitution of the Burma Star, which is family and friends, relatives can't join, and I just want to give a way to get more people to remember and be interested in the Far East. I know FEPOW is the prisoners of war, but they're also fought in that area and to get to learn more and understand, because the history books in schools don't teach young people. They leave school, they know nothing about World War II. They go, oh yeah, we fought the Germans. Yeah, that was a small part of the general conflict. So it's the way I sort of came to it late in life, because when my father died, he'd never spoken about his experiences, and I decided then for my children and now my grandchildren's sake to find out. And it was quite hard. Can be quite off-putting for people. So the more information we can make available and the more we can attract people, the better, I think. That's why I said to you I'd like to do this.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Well, I don't think you would have seen it, but we had a meeting about this a couple of months back. Unfortunately, I do apologise. Last meeting, I honestly wasn't very well at all, and so I got up, turned everything on, got everything ready, and went back to bed. I just couldn't stand sitting here. But we did 2 months ago. We did discuss this, didn't we, Martin? That
Yep.
Martin, Matt, to put you in the picture, we have got some people within the group that have written books on.
I know, yeah.
Yeah, and Martin is one of them.
I've got Martin's book here, I think.
Yeah.
Amongst
Martin,
many others.
Yeah, that was put to Martin, and Martin said he would donate a book. But I think what we've got to look at is to make it worth people like Martin donating the book. We've got to do a video of the actual draw, and beforehand put on
Which book?
Which book we're going to draw, and before that, the month before, we ought to put on Facebook what book it is and information on the book, and maybe an interview with the person who has actually written the book, like Martin. Ask Martin, and you know, I've done an interview with Louise Reynolds about her books, and John Cooper with his book. And it would be handy to put on Facebook a video to introduce the book the month before, so it's on all month. So the people that donate a book do get a good advert. So the advert will be there all month. And then Martin agreed, didn't you, Martin?
Yep.
Yeah, Martin agreed that he would like to do something like that, and I'm sure Louise would as well. John has now joined the FEPOW family Facebook. He wasn't in it. He joined about 3 months ago. But John is such a nice chap. He's so easy to get on with. I'm sure he would do the same with his book. So I think the idea is there, but we've got to all agree with it. and unfortunately, I can't send out emails like I used to all the charity members because a lot of them don't get the emails because this new thing they've started, this anti-spam program they're adding on their email input, the hosting services. They've actually won't allow multi-emails to go in through their system. So a lot of the people within the charity don't get the emails. So this is why I started the FEPOW charity Facebook pages, so we could put information in there, all of us, and so we could share it that way. But I have got a couple of members that don't want to join it because they've got the bad publicity within Facebook, which is bad publicity. We don't have the trouble because we're a closed membership, so we don't allow anyone in. And Jan Skelton helps me moderate the Facebook page. She helps me moderate her, and she does an excellent job. She's always there to help me, and we wish her a happy birthday today.
All right.
Happy birthday today, Johnny.
Yeah.
I've sent her a message. Yeah.
So hopefully she'll get that message when she watches this back. At the moment, she's on her anniversary in Rome.
Very nice.
Very nice.
So
lovely city.
Yeah. So hopefully, I've got some bad memories of Rome. In the 1980s, we stopped at Sorrento for a holiday, and then we were on our way to Yugoslavia, which was Yugoslavia then, because the Russians were still there. And we were on our way, and we stopped off at Rome to view the sights. And in between Sorrento and Yugoslavia, we lost all the money out of our cases. So I've got some funny memories of Rome, but Rome is a beautiful place. It is really a lovely place. Anyway, getting back to this, so the idea is there, everyone, and I think with the more members, we get more people joining in the charity group video meetings. Even if they just watch them through which they can do when they're members, they can get through the security part and watch them within there. So I honestly think that's a good idea myself. But the moment, as you know, I am doing this British FEPOW role, and it's going to take me a long, long time. And so we do need help. Now, Matt said he would be willing to do the raffle side of it. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, whatever I can do. I just want to encourage more people into, because of Burma Star, because I run a page which is Burma orientated, Burma Indian Far East. I've had a lot more members, but they're mainly students in India and Myanmar and Nepal who are trying to find out about our history. But I've noticed there's not many. We've sort of died off, and it's the same on a couple of other pages. We don't get interest from UK. We get more interest from Australia actually and America than we do from the UK.
Yeah.
And it's partly the government's fault. They do play down the Far East, whereas America jump it up and Australia jump it up. So I don't want it forgotten about. I think that we can get more people involved.
Yeah, well, I did write quite a few bits on Burma within the FEPOW community and Britain at War. They're quite old now, so they're maybe a bit out of date. But someone sharing again?
No.
No, I don't know what's going on.
Anyway, so I did write, and I wrote about Koima, mainly because the second Royal Norfolks were in Burma, and my uncle, of course, I come from Norfolk, and my uncle was in the second Norfolks. He used to tell me loads of tales about it. So I've got loads of stories about it, and I wanted to know what happened in Burma. So I did do quite a bit on Koima, and I did write quite a decent article, I thought, on Koima. It might be a bit out of date now because there's more information coming along. But I think I told you before, an American lawyer got in touch with me and asked me if he could use my article in a court case in America.
I remember reading that, yes.
Yeah. So I never knew what actually the outcome was, but he did use and he did thank me. But anyway, so we do look at things like Burma and Koima and on doing the index cards, I keep coming across FEPOWs that were actually captured in Burma.
Yep. One of the projects I'm doing, Ronnie, is I've got the roll that I got from Q of the men in Rangoon jail. Now I've got to look at it because there's that roll, which is quite complete, and then there's another one. I've got the reference here somewhere. It's an air file, and it lists the men liberated from Rangoon jail. There's only 127 of them, or thereabouts, whereas the Rangoon jail roll is a hell of a lot more than that. So it includes the men that were marched out towards Pegu.
Isn't it about? Hang on, Rangoon jail. I'm sure it's over 800.
Yeah, it was.
If not 12, it's not. I don't think it's quite 1,200, but.
So they marched 400 or 500 men out towards the Allied forces towards Pegu, and the Japanese decided, well, they weren't going to do that, so they just let them go. The unfortunate part is that the RAF were orbiting above, well, they now think it was South African Air Force in the RAF, and they took the men as being Japanese and strapped the column, and sadly killed I think it was Brigadier Hobson, who was the leader who stood up for the men all the time they were in Rangoon jail, and he was the only casualty. Very, very sad. But I've got that roll. It's Burma, it's Malaya Camp 4. So I've got that roll here. That was a WO361. So I'll be trying to get that together and put that on. Definitely put that on. But I'm coming across questionnaires of men captured in Burma.
Yeah, that was that a lot of it, like my uncle said, was hand-to-hand fighting in Burma, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, there was no. To be honest, it's going to sound pretty crass saying this, but if you became a prisoner of war, you were lucky because neither side were taking prisoners as such.
No. That's exactly what my uncle said, Matt. My uncle said that what they did is they were holding a certain point, and they had, of course, casualties, and they were told to retreat, and so they retreated, but they left the casualties there with the Royal Army Medical Corps, and when they retook the position, they found them all dead. So when they took their next Japanese as prisoners, they staked them out and ran a lorry over them. But he was really regretting it because he said, I suppose he had time to think about it. Nobody knew that which Japanese actually killed their colleagues.
Well, that's right. So, but it was just before he died. It's the only time my father spoke about his experience, and he said things like, When they were stationed, there was a raft came down the river with schools of, didn't know if they're British or Australian or whatever, but heads with candles in their mouths, just floating down the river. And so he said, we had no option basically, but the next question we sent a raft back with Japanese heads with candles in the mouths. It didn't take prisoners, it just kill or be killed. And one thing I know that he regretted was towards the end they captured a Japanese general, and it was his job to escort him back to Rangoon, which took 10 days. And he says, during that 10 days, I didn't let him drink any water or eat any food. And he said, I feel a bit bad about that. I said, but then again, many years later, I met him in America and I smacked him, punched him. So it's difficult. It's difficult to say, but his memories of that war were. I think I know he suffered for many years, so it was very, very hard. And that's why he chose not to talk, not to share his nightmares with other people. Yeah. I think that was the same for, if not the majority, if not all of the Burma veterans. And prisoners of war, FEPOWs, they were basically told, don't talk about this when you get home. Sign this paper. It didn't happen. You were well cared for. We'll fatten you up and then you go home. It was a hard time for a lot of people at that time.
Yeah, Dad told me that when he got back, they were just told to forget it and get on with life.
Yeah,
that was it.
Basically,
and the dad had to have a major operation to have part of his lung removed for a tropical disease, and the way things that were then, he was told to get on with life, forget it, no war pension because nobody had heard of the disease.
Yeah, that's basically what happened to my father.
Yeah, that's.
He got told the same thing. Basically, just look, get on with your life. Be grateful you're alive. Shut up. We're not interested. And he was denied a war pension, and he tried. In later years, he tried when he desperately needed help. No. And there you go.
Well, I was lucky in a way because one of my dad's, because my dad worked for Eastern Electric, and he went there after the war, and one of his friends at Eastern Electric, he was an MBE, John Green, and he got the MBE for his work on war pensions, not just for FEPOWs, for all war pensions, and when Dad had Alzheimer's, so we had to do something because we couldn't leave him by himself all day. We used to take him into our shop, but that got awkward. So we got him in the British Legion place at Cromer, but it was costing quite a bit. And John Green helped me get Dad a war pension at 82. At 82, he got a war pension. Mainly, I've got to say, John Green, I've always appreciated what he done. He's dead now, but he lost a leg at casino. At the casino. He was such a character. But anyway, getting back to where we were. Martin, any thoughts on what we're talking about, please? Any thoughts on the charity group extending the membership? You'd all benefit.
I think it's.
You'd all benefit because the price of the membership we can put down, because we don't want. At the moment, we've got 1,500 in our account, okay, which is nice. It's nice because we don't want to make a profit. All it's there for is to cover expenses, okay? So if we have more than 5,000, we can no longer be a charity, an unregistered charity. We'd have to register, and of course, then you get into a lot, like for freedom, you get into a lot of aggravation. So at the moment, we're an unregistered charity, which we can do up till 1,500. Okay, Martin, up to you. Go on, mate.
Yeah, look, I think the idea of promoting the growth of the charity through the raffles is a great idea. I think that it's one thing getting the interest from people, but then I guess you've got to convert that into membership. That's probably the challenge, is how that looks, and certainly a promotion or an incentive like the raffle is something which will certainly attract people. I mean, I think you'll get a lot of people who'll say, "Oh yeah, look, £12 I'll sign up anyway." But then it's still a matter of converting that into the membership, because we can see from the polling that there's definitely an increase in interest. So I think the first port of call is converting that into membership, and then when it becomes membership, is how we get it into participating in the meetings and sort of growing this the meeting itself, so that people can get involved and increase their learning and research ability.
And we can also get them involved within the FEPOW charity Facebook pages, because that could be nice feedback.
Yeah.
As well as the video, because that could be nice feedback. I've left that as a closed group just for the charity members, because that way we can put messages on which we don't want the normal Facebook pages to have. Okay, so that is another way of doing it. We can use the Facebook pages as well. I'd like to find another way of communicating, but email at the moment is a dead loss.
You don't get you get very little now coming through email. Very little.
That's just a dead loss. I mean, at one time, we used to have the charity, the FEPOW family group.
Yep.
Which was very similar to Facebook, but most of the members wanted to go over to Facebook, and we had about 750 members within the FEPOW community group. That was nice, because the FEPOW community group, which was run through Yahoo, used to send out messages via email, and they weren't stopped. So that was nice, because you could communicate via that way. But most of the members wanted to go on to Facebook, and from the 750 members we had on the FEPOW community, we've now got 768, I think it is, on Facebook. So we've still got some members that won't go over to Facebook. But we had this before.
I went wrong.
You won't go on Facebook?
No, Ron. What do you think about WhatsApp then? Can't you send messages on that? I communicate with my friends. They send me messages.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I don't know if you can do bulk emails on WhatsApp though. Bulk messaging.
It's messaging. It is. You write.
Yeah. You can also do video conferences.
Yeah, you can do video.
My sister and my son and everything in Brunei and America with WhatsApp.
The only trouble with that is we've got 760 members on Facebook,
all have to be,
and you're going to have to convert them, and you're not going to be able to do it. So if we were looking, what we want is a way of communicating just the charity members within using something to communicate. I know we use Messenger, which is quite handy. I mean, but then you're getting back to Facebook.
Yeah.
So people, I can't see why you won't go on to Facebook, Bernard, because ours is a closed group, so other people can't see your messages.
Well, WhatsApp is Facebook.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, part of Facebook. I think a lot of people are off from Facebook because of the recent publicity of the spamming and the emails and the election rigging. That's general Facebook. But people don't realise you can have private pages, you can have separate pages. But you can't. It's difficult to. How do you? Difficult to know that. We'd have to put a general Facebook page and say, join us and become a private member, or stay on the public FEPOW site. You're welcome to that for free. But if you want secure and you want to enter the raffle or whatever, a free raffle every month, maybe offer every month a free book and a free membership. So, but no, I can't do that really. Free
it starts getting
wrong.
complicated, and
Yeah.
my wife will go absolutely mad. Oh,
Keep it simple.
by the way, we were going to a bungalow because the wife's arthritis. She's now being diagnosed with one definite hip replacement, one maybe. So if she does get that done, maybe we can stay where we are. And the doctor said, don't move until we find out. Go on, Bernie.
Tell your wife I've got 2 of those.
Yeah.
And they're all right. And they got a stair lift.
Yeah.
And what they've got now, I've got cataracts.
Oh, yes, you said last time.
Yeah. So and my diabetes is playing me up terrible. I'm back and forth the hospital all the time. I either go down there or I ring them. They're very good to me, but I got more things wrong with me when I got good.
Oh, you got a pretty face, Bernard. Let's face it, mate. Right, Martin. Are you
Yes.
said you're okay with what we're talking about? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Yes. Yep.
Keith is okay. Barbara.
Okay, well, we did discuss this before, and we were all very much in favour of this. We thought, Matt, that it was a brilliant idea to encourage people. The video conferencing, I did put a posting on Ronnie when you put this in to encourage people, because I said, I'm not one of the big researchers, but I find it fascinating to come on and listen to everybody and say a little bit now and again, and much appreciate it. And Matt, I very much take on board what you're saying. I'm devastated to hear that Burma Star and those are going to, close the association down, because what we're all here for. Yeah. We're all here to remember what these people went through.
Well, unfortunately, the Burma Star has got to the point where more branches are closing, and there's only 22 branches left, and there's only just under 1,200 members.
Okay.
Left of the actual Burma Star awardees. There's more Burma Star holders, but of the actual association now. And so, with the passing of Slim this year, although his son Mark is probably going to take his place, it was decided that, as there is the Burma Star Memorial Association, which will continue its work with the Gurkhas and Nepal and the Chindits Memorial. Because Chindits, again, have only got 27 members left of the original Chindits. I was hoping they would agree to merge and carry on with the support of the 77th Indian Battalion, but they're also going to close. And Burma Star made a decision that, as it was 75 years and VJ next year, they would lay out the standard of the Burma Star Association, St. Paul's Cathedral. We're working on getting permission for that from St. Paul's Cathedral. And the individual Burma Star branches that want to continue can continue, but they can't continue as the Burma Star Association. They'll have to change its name or something. And I'm sort of saying, I've been saying for a few years now, I think there should be a Burma Star families and friends, a bit like FEPOW, families It sends people who have people who are members of the Burma Star Association. And don't forget, all FEPOWs hold the Burma Star if they fought in that arena.
Yep.
So it covers all of them as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with the going of that, it's going to take a large chunk out of. There's no longer going to be a Burma Star Association. I know people say, "Oh, it's the British Legion," but to be honest, I've had experience with the British Legion, and I'm not a fan.
Can I tell you then, Matt, what's just happened with the British Legion? Because I'm a member of the British Legion and I'd got a query about my membership. And as part of that query in my email, I put about what were they doing for VJ 75 and VE 75. And I got the reply from the lady I was in touch with that they were doing something for VE Day. So I wrote back and said,
they're not.
well, that's
Well,
lovely.
that's the
What
question.
about VJ Day? I said, because these people were, I can't call them the Forgotten Army because the FEPOs aren't the Forgotten Army. That's the Burma people. And she's been back to the planning committee and has put my comments to them. And I'm waiting to hear, and I'm going to keep on at them.
Yeah,
I'm telling all British Legion members to get in touch with them and say the war didn't end on VE Day. The war didn't really end on VJ Day. The war ended on the 2nd of September when finally the surrender was, signed, and that's something we tend to recognise here in our association.
Yeah, I've also spoken to British Legion about that because they also said, well, between end of the Second World War is. I said, no, that was the end of the European War.
Yeah.
But not the end of World War II.
And you can actually, you can say it's ended on the 2nd of September, but to be honest, we were still fighting in that arena many, many years past.
That's a forgotten army. That to me, those are the ones that are forgotten.
Korea, the people who lost there, but also Malaya post World War II, and people forget all these. We've been at war constantly since the war. Yeah. Really, we've not had any.
One way or another, yeah.
Yeah, we've not got, and you can say, oh, we've had peace for the last 75 years.
No.
Yes, we have in the global sphere of things. There's no big war, but it's been skirmish after skirmish after skirmish, which you can call wars, but the small wars limited. But you can. But the British Legion is following the government's guidance, I think, which is the government would like, because they never promoted the war in the Far East, because it was a drain on supplies they needed for the European war, because it was Britain struggling for survival, and they sent what they could, because they were also losing their empire. And at the end of the war, it was like, we're going to have so many problems in the Far East. Best to say nothing about it and just play it down. And I think that was the prevailing spirit for well into the, early 80s. And it was only now beginning to come back and going, well, what happened then? But because people are dying out, there's not enough voices to say, hang on, the war didn't end. VE Day, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, but it was still, there was still a war. We didn't drop atomic bombs on Germany. The atomic bombs are dropped on Japan, and that's the end of the war. That's the cause of, and that's my opinion. I'll shut up.
No, don't shut up, Matt. What you're saying is exactly right. The atomic bombs I learnt in the last few months were actually destined for Europe. If that hadn't been resolved,
well, yes,
so it would have been a different outcome.
They were originally done for that purpose.
Yeah, but I think there is a growing number of us, of our generation, who have learnt about what happened to. Often it's our fathers, isn't it? And we didn't know about this until we were older ourselves, because when you're growing up, you're too busy with your life to get on. They weren't told to talk about it, and they didn't. My dad didn't. So it's only looking back now with sadness that I didn't know what I know now to ask my dad. And there are a lot of us, and we're trying to pass it on to the next generation. And this is our opportunity now next year to do this. What you've come up with is a brilliant idea. We had in the past, when I first came onto these video calls, started to perhaps have one meeting every month where it was a book meeting. And that was when we did, gosh, sorry, my mind goes. We had one talk. Come on, remind me, guys. Who was it with the Changi
Louise
Cross?
Reynolds. Louise
Thank
Reynolds.
you. Louise came on and talked about her book, and it was really interesting. And I found that as somebody who's not a researcher, I can relate to that on the video. So I think that if we can do this, we can get some of these people. Ellie Taylor. I would love John Cooper to come on. He's fascinating. Meg Parks. I know she's so busy. Meg would be so good. It would be an ideal opportunity for her to perhaps promote the Art of Captivity exhibition. I think probably the next conference next year is already booking up quite well. But hers and Professor Gill's books are fabulous, and maybe they could donate one. And I think there'll be a new book coming out next year too, as well. Maybe, FEPOW had got something. We weren't just going to do new books. There's so many books out there that we've all got that perhaps are becoming rare editions now. When you
would think so.
Maybe those would be nice. Somebody donate a book.
Well, I've got books that I'm going to put. I'm doing a list of the books I've got, which I'm going to forward to Ronnie.
Right, I think we should call it a free draw. Let's call it a raffle, because to me a raffle you have to apply. Yeah. Let's go with that. Call it a free draw.
Free draw every month. Well, I don't know. We can.
One of us then, depending on how many members we've got, we have to number them, and one of us will do a draw at home. Just shout out a number.
We can say if we've got 700 members who've entered it, or 700 members, we can do. I mean, Ronnie could do it. Anybody could. One of those random number generators on a PC and just go generate a number between 1 and 700. Bang. Oh, number 69.
Yeah, so I vote for it. It's a really good idea, and I'll go with it. Can I just, before I finish, say to Martin? Yeah, I think he knows. I watched that episode of the thing that they've done in Singapore for the celebrations of the 200 years, and I thought it was excellent.
I did. I watched that as well.
Yeah, I thought the cartoons were a bit, but it's not just to appeal to me; it's to appeal to a wide audience. And
it must be my mentality, but I enjoyed the cartoons.
Wow. I talked about it at our recent Birmingham meeting and raised quite a bit of interest. They all wanted to know what Hill 105 was. We've all said, and maybe this is something at our meetings, we want a big map. I'm going to ask Keith whether in sometime in the future we can get a biggish map of Singapore. What we found, and I don't know if your guys probably not because you know it by heart, but when we're talking about different things and the fall of Singapore is, we'll say Hill 105 and they'll say, well, where was that? Where's that area?
People don't know, especially young people, don't know where Singapore is.
Well, that's
true. They don't
true.
know the region. And yes, I think you're right. If you had a big map and you could say, well, there's
that's
Singapore.
What happened there. That's what happened there.
We're Hill 105.
Yeah.
There's the causeway. There's different. You can highlight the bits and why. You can actually make. Then the point is why, when they had all these defences out to sea, did Singapore fall? Well, it's because of this area here where the Japanese landed and just went.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking forward now to further episodes of this. And
the second one has been uploaded.
Right.
And
what's it on, Martin?
It's called The Past Beneath. The Past Beneath Us, and it's on CNA's streaming platform. So it's like CNA on demand.
Right. Got it. Okay.
So the first two episodes have been uploaded, So the first one was 14 days ago. The second one was 7 days ago. So I'm anticipating the one that we worked with will either be uploaded today or tomorrow, because it goes to air on the 26th in Singapore. So that's the third episode is the one that's is basically the World War II episode.
Right.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
that'll be the one that'll interest us the most, I guess.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
Yeah,
But-
that's really good.
But with
And can I
if
also...
you want
Sorry, carry on, Martin.
if you want a map of Singapore, there's a brilliant map on Trove, the Australian Library, which you can download. It's a about 150 megabyte TIFF map of Singapore, which is a 1945 British Army map, and yeah, excellent one for zooming in, etc., and certain locations.
Right. What I was going to
Oh,
say,
brilliant.
Matt, going back to Burma Star closing down, the organisation or association I'm with in Birmingham, which Keith comes to too, they tried to close that down because we were, obviously the FEPOW's, no more. Sadly, we've just got one FEPOW now, who's our honorary chairman. So we changed our constitution, and we still run, because what we want to do is commemorate these FEPOWs and to get it out there as to what happened as much as possible. And by changing the constitution, we've achieved that. We've got one more minor alteration because it was centred basically on Birmingham and the greater Birmingham area. Yeah. But
of course, Birmingham Burma Star closed down 2 years ago. They standard.
But we want anybody really to be members of us, because this is how we're going to get these people remembered.
Well, the only way to carry on is but I think they've got to have some connection, because otherwise you run the risk of having. Well, I think they've got to have a connection, either a family connection or a historical research connection for a reason for joining.
Family connection's better.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we're aiming at. But we want to widen our geographical area, because
I want to get the children who perhaps didn't meet their grandchildren or didn't meet their grandparents or great grandparents who've passed, who are now in their teens or early 20s, beginning to ask questions. Because you always ask questions. What did they do?
I think that's what we've done with the FEPOW Facebook. We've got certain questions that they have to answer before we allow them in. And one of them is, do you have any family that were in the Far East during World War II? So we don't say, were they a FEPOW? Because although we call it the FEPOW family, like the Britain at War, the Roll of Honour, that includes all those who died before the surrender.
Mm.
Yep.
And I mean, the Roll of Honour does include a lot wider than that, because I've even got some World War I's on there. But the main thing is, I concentrate mainly on the Far East, so we don't keep it just for those who died as FEPOWs. So maybe our name is a bit misleading, calling it the FEPOW family, because the FEPOW family charity group do back the costs of running the Roll of Honour and the Britain at War.
Yeah, but you've got to be careful on this, because FEPOW's been around. That acronym FEPOW has been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And people know it. It's to do with Far Eastern prisoners of war, and it's to do with World War II. They know that association. And I think it's a question of not changing the name or changing it. Basically expanding the audience a little bit. Like maybe running it as Facebook. Not add so much, but what did your grandparent do? What did your granddad do in the war? What did your grandmother do in the war?
I mean, we get
people interested that way.
I mean, when I'm at the building at Orawas, which is okay, it was COFEPO raised the funds for it. I call it the FEPOW building. But anybody that comes in, even if they're there and, oh, my father only fought in Burma, he wasn't a prisoner, doesn't matter. As far as I'm concerned, I know it should be for Far Eastern POWs, but probably for me, I adopt a slightly wider view that it's for the Far East, even if they died in the battle for Malaya or the battle for Burma, Singapore. That people can still feel part of it if they want to feel part of it. Going back on emails, the only emails I get, I noticed those from Burma Star have dried up, which is sad. So I don't know whether their website's still going, because a lot of people would go onto Burma Star. Yeah.
It is still going, but it's not. You'll be lucky if you get a reply.
Right. Because a lot of people tend to go straight to the Burma Star and say, oh, my father was a prisoner. Well, Phil, who ran it, knows that, no, we don't do prisoners, but have a word with COFEPO. So I used to get emails from them. The only other ones I get are when people join COFEPO where they want to ask a research question. Most of it now is done on Facebook, Ronnie. As you said, it's email traffic is.
I mean, you've helped me a couple of times over the years because I've emailed you for information about certain things. But we need to. I don't know. I mean, Australians seem to have got a bigger handle on this than in the UK. I think the Australian government has made it a lot easier for them to get information and to share it. Whereas in the UK, I think it's still a bit of a. I mean, it took me 10 years to get information from my father, and even now, the Royal Artillery Museum say he wasn't in the Royal Artillery. Yes, he was. He did a test his paper in 1937. He was to join the Territorials. He got called up in June 1939. He went there, he served there, served there, served there. Yes, okay. In 1942, he got transferred to the Royal West African Forces, but it was still our Royal Artillery.
All their records are in deep store.
And you can't say that. Well, we don't think he was because it disappeared. So, well, his release book said he was, and his service papers say he was. All I want is that period of time that I can't find out of because records are sealed till for another 10 years, I think.
Shouldn't be. Normally they were under the 70-year rule.
Martin, you can answer.
100-year rule.
Yeah. Martin, you can answer this, Martin, because I do get emails from Australia saying that there's not a big coverage for like our Facebook. The government are doing, they've got good coverage on the internet, but not anything for the general public to join, like our Facebook page.
Well, probably. No, that's right. Probably not in terms of Facebook. I haven't seen anything, but I was recently having a look at the 2nd, 4th Machine Gun Battalion's website, and that's very, very well put together. Extremely informative, and they've got an individual database, a complete role on the website that's got details of every single member of the battalion. So very, very well researched and very well done. So I'm aware of a few other associations that have web pages as well. I think the HMS Perth has got a a Facebook page.
Yeah, they have.
Outside,
outside
of. Yes, that's that's right.
It's the medics, isn't it?
He's connected with the Burma Thailand Railway Association, which is based in Perth, who do the school kids tour up to Thailand each year.
All right.
So that's a pretty big one as well. So there is a few that are active on a regular basis, but maybe not just Facebook and those mediums that the younger ones use.
What did you just say about the children's school trip up to Thailand?
Well, there's a tour called the Quiet Lions Tour, which has been going. Yeah, which was originally ex-POWs were going up to Thailand, and it really started off, the Quiet Line tour started off with one of the last tours that Sawiri Dunlop went up to Thailand on. And it's been going ever since. So the Burma Thailand Railway Association, who are based in Perth, have basically been continuing with this school program. They were actually active, going out to country areas and going out to schools and actually giving talks, and they were using ex-POWs to do this. And of course, over time, the POWs have actually either passed away or got extremely old now, so that obviously become less active. But their association is still doing this school program and still taking this tour up to Thailand each year. So they got their itinerary. All their itineraries are on their website, and all their newsletters and briefs on what each tour, how it went, etc., etc. And even some of the kids write in and write there what they learn and etc., etc.
Yeah,
so
post videos of the trips as well.
Wow.
Yes,
and
I guess
watched a couple.
So
Sorry,
it's
Mark.
probably something. It's probably something which is far more achievable from Australia than it is from the UK, because like for example, out of Perth, we're only 6 hours out of Bangkok, so we can fly up on a morning and be into Bangkok, hop in a cab, and we can be out at Kanchanaburi in probably 8.5, 9 hours, from leaving the front door. So it's a lot easier to do it from this side of the world, I guess. But no, their programs have been very successful.
That's a fascinating idea. I wish we could have some sort of competition or something. Come on, COFEPO. The education thing that COFEPO tried failed, so maybe we could do something like that.
Trouble is, you see, they're not. I mean, we had a school group up in the building last year, purely by accident. I happened to be there, and they asked, "Oh, could we come upstairs?" Because I was working upstairs in the archive. Could we come upstairs and have a look? Yeah, sure, come on. And I started talking, or one young girl started talking to me. She's about 14 or 15, and she said, "You know what? I didn't know we fought the Japanese. We're still on the First World War. Nobody's teaching us about the Second World War. We know we fought the Germans, but yes, you knew you fought the Germans. It was on our doorstep." Whereas probably it's a higher exposure in Australia because Singapore was on their doorstep.
Well,
so
right.
if you like, you've got the two extremes.
Well, we got bombed by Germany in the UK, and the Australians got bombed by the Japanese in Australia, in Darwin.
Exactly.
So to them, it was closer.
Yes,
and
it was on their doorstep.
like you said, 6 hours away, just across the water. So that's why this country concentrated more on Europe and forget about Far East, and more Anzacs were committed in Burma and Borneo and India than perhaps came to Europe to fight. Although, to be honest, I think it was equal numbers. There's also a good few others.
Lot were in the Western Desert.
Yeah, in the Western Desert and in Burma, rather than actual Europe itself.
But there again, you see, I don't know whether you. Yesterday they had a service at the Arboretum for Monte Cassino.
Yeah, that's right.
And they are complaining.
Yesterday?
Yes. Sorry, the Arboretum, National Memorial Arboretum.
Yeah. Was it yesterday?
I think it was. And they were complaining.
Last Saturday.
Oh, was it?
It was Burma Start, then I went to the Monte Cassino one.
Oh, right. You came over on
the Polish Monte Cassino one. There might have been two.
Right.
And
the veterans there were complaining it's overshadowed by D-Day.
Yeah, everything is.
And what people want to remember is, had we not got into Italy, there may not have been a D-Day, because the German forces in Italy would have been concentrated in Europe.
Yeah.
France. Right? So they've got their particular beef with D-Day, if you like, and that's people fighting near enough the same theatres.
I mean, there's questions you see on Facebook by people. Who's the cause of the World War II? Who started it? Was it German? Was it Hitler or was it the Japanese? And I replied to them through this. You can't ask questions like that because it's not so simple. You have to go
No,
back
it's
to
not.
prior to the First World War. And don't forget, if you like who started the World War, it never actually ended because the World War One ended and the Sino-Japanese-Chinese War started about 1933, but
31.
a continuation of it, 31, that's it.
Yep.
But that was a continuation actions it had, and that grew and grew, and that was the reason for Russia in one sense. They were frightened of the Japanese or the Chinese actually invading Russia. So they're keeping the 40 on that side. That's why Germany decided to grow its territory and try and get Russia. But it's all compared. You can't say who started it, who won it. No one did. It was a culmination of events that was bound to happen. But they don't get told this. They just get told, oh, World War One was this, that, and the other. World War Two was started by Germany and ended up being global, and then it ended. We won, but there's no winners, no losers. Everybody's equal. That's the fact we go into financially who won. The Japanese and Germans won because they got rebuilt.
Yeah.
And we've just, and here in the UK, we've only just paid off the war debts. We had people from Germany come to the UK and go, God, I thought it should be more advanced than this. We've got so much and clean. I mean, I used to travel around the world and I used to actually used to feel embarrassed sometimes when people came from foreign countries to the UK expecting to have the same standards as the rest of Europe or whatever. And you go, no, sorry. But there you go, that's just a personal observation.
Can I say something now? Can I say something?
Yeah, go on, Bernard. I was getting to
Before
you.
we go, it's been very interesting to listen to you all talking about these things. As you know, I never saw my father after the age of 4. He died being a prisoner in Japan, and he was buried in the sea at Nagasaki when I was 8-year-old. And when I talk to people here in Wales about my experiences, because it wasn't until 1997 that I actually found out what my father had done. And people look at me as if I got horns on my head. They don't know what went on and what I'm talking about. And I never miss an opportunity to tell people about what I went through and what my father did. Only last week when I had to ring up and order an ambulance to come and fetch me now on Monday, tomorrow. I spoke to the woman on the end of the phone. I don't know who she was. And the opportunity came up and I asked her, did she know anything about the war and things like that? And why people like me lost our fathers and mothers? And they got no idea. They got no idea what World War II was and what happened. But I never missed a chance to plug it. My wife goes on to me. She said, oh, you're at it again. But you can never say enough. And people don't realize, what
Bernard, but it's not. I agree with everything that they don't know. It's the education of our youth and whatever, but they don't have they don't have a father or uncle or a mother who served in those because they're younger now and they've got different priorities. But it's our job, I think, to keep that, give them the opportunity. You can't force people to learn, but if you make sure the information is readily available and welcome them and say, look, let's. You can frighten kids off by lecturing them and going so much. You have to entice them in a sense, because they're so used to war. They've got all these video games and war films and all the rest of it that glorify. No one actually goes through simple things like, in this film, they've been stuck in that and they've been fighting that for 2 weeks apparently, but not one of them ever had to go to the toilet. Never once did they eat anything. He only saw one person have a drink of water. And you think, yeah, but you don't know. A lot of them had to go to the toilet in the clothes. They didn't have toilets to go to.
The worst
I,
thing,
So lucky,
I,
if they were
I
lucky
would,
to have water.
I would I would never have known about my father, only for the fact that I saw an article in a sort of a FEPOW, I'll say a sort of a FEPOW newsletter, Japanese Labour Camp Survivors Association. And from that, I researched it, and I had to research it myself. Otherwise, I would not have known what had happened to my father. So, I don't understand people today when I start talking to them, and they look as if I have got horns coming out of my head. They just don't realise.
the nice thing, though, Bernard, the nice thing is, I mean, the roll of honour. I have got literally 100, 200,000. I don't know how many I've got on it. I've got loads of it, but every page has got the Changi Cross.
Yes, I do see that.
Which your dad actually made. And
That's right.
So really his memory is there.
Yes, but people don't know. People don't know about
but
it.
the people within FEPOW know, because we talk about it often. And you've mentioned quite a bit within the Facebook pages that your dad actually built the Changi Cross. But to try and educate people away from our group is awkward. Now, when the FEPOWs were alive, many of the FEPOWs used to tell me they used to go around the schools and give lectures or talks, not lectures, talks on.
I never saw any of them, Ron. I never saw any of them.
Nor did I, but they did, Bernard, and they did actually do it. They did go round. Now you're only talking about. I never had it at my school, but luckily my headmaster was a FEPOW.
Yeah, but people
But
got no time.
He never mentioned
people got no time for me when I'm trying to explain to them what happened in my case. But they're not interested.
Yeah, but we're sitting here, Bernard, and we are sitting here talking about it on video, and so there is an opportunity, and we've got the FEPOW 760 odd members of the FEPOW family, so you have got an option, you have got somewhere to talk about it. There's loads of opportunities now to talk about it within certain groups.
And it's been recorded.
Yeah, and it's been recorded, so I'll go on the recording site.
Ron, let me tell you now, about 2 months ago, the ambulance called me to go to hospital, and I got sort of a minibus, Ron. And then the next call picked up another person about a mile away. And this old man got on the ambulance, and I thought, God, he must be an age. And as he was talking to me on the ambulance, I said, I know who you are. I said, you are Arthur. And he said, who are you? I said, I'm Bernard Stogden. I said, you were in my class. and he said, I remember now. He said, you lost your dad in the war. That's right. That's right. I was no more than about 10-year-old when I remember him in school.
Yeah.
But he's the only one that have ever come on to me and said, from my class, although a lot of them have died, I remember you in school. You said you lost your father. But never at any time did I hear or see anyone come around the school talking about World War II.
Yeah, but you've got to bear in mind, Bernard, I mean, every town like Great Yarmouth, we've got about 30, 40 different schools. I mean, FEPOWs can't get around them all, and we never had anyone come around ours.
No, we never did.
I assure you that FEPOWs did used to go around the schools. because I knew a lot of nice FEPOWs, and they used to tell me about what they got onto when they went round the schools. Now,
Aye,
so
but Ron,
you've got to give them credit for doing it.
I live in Wales, Ron, and we're at the back of beyond.
Where is Wales?
It's up the hills.
Yeah. Oh, we used to love hill walking in Wales. Snowdonia. Oh, brilliant.
I don't like it.
I think
Oh,
what we
we
have to
used to love it.
appreciate is that the school syllabus didn't actually include
No, the syllabus.
20th
Yeah.
century history, really, not even the First World War.
No.
First World War is starting to now, Barbara.
It is now. It
Yeah,
is now.
starting to
But
now.
I say, when I was at school, it was all the Greeks, the Romans, the Egyptians, the Anglo-Saxons.
Well, the
And
next,
I'm quite
You
pleased that
know,
kids learn modern
I,
history.
I served in the British Army as a soldier, right? And at no time when I was in the army was it ever explained to us about World War II and what happened.
I didn't want to put you off, Bernard.
I didn't want to go, believe you me. After losing my father, I didn't want to go.
No.
Right, everyone, did you see my email or my message on Facebook about Adrian Bridger Chalker?
yes.
You
Yes.
saw, yeah, he is, he's organising a trip from New Zealand, Australia, and Britain to go to the Far East next year, and he wants to lay to rest his father's ashes at Hellfire Pass. I think it was Hellfire Pass. But he wanted me to put it or give him some idea of would we be interested.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
although I've been told I can't fly, I'll make sure I go and get. So I would be very interested because I always wanted to go to the Far East when I retired, but I couldn't. But I'll have to get the okay from the doctor. But I'd be interested. Would anyone else be interested?
Yep. Yes, please.
Yeah.
Well,
Keith?
Ronnie, I would be interested, but again, like yourself, I can't fly.
No, I can't.
Be told I can't fly, and also financially wise,
Yeah.
I'm hoping one day to win something. I'd love to go. I've been offered a few times over the last couple of years to go.
Yeah.
Well,
Even
Ronnie,
Greece.
would he be doing Singapore? Because my father wasn't on the railway like your
Yeah.
father.
No,
My dad
this
was
is
Saigon.
mainly Chalker did loads of pictures on the
On the railway.
Yeah. So most of his pictures relate to that. So that is really where he's talking about. His message to me was mainly on the railway.
Yeah.
So it would be nice, really, for us all to get together in real life now and again.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good opportunity, but I don't know if I'd get the okay to actually fly. So, but that would be nice in the future for us all to get together. I'm not a mixer. I don't mind coming on this, but I'm not a mixer. To be honest, I'd rather sit here and get on with my ages. But okay, Martin can fly over.
Yeah, it's on the doorstep.
No,
Yeah.
that would be nice, really, for us
5 minutes away.
to find an opportunity. Next year might be an opportunity for us to say, yeah, let's get together.
My own personal thing, because I haven't got a railway connection, I would love to go to Singapore and find out more, because I know Jaya was saying at the conference last time that they've done a lot of heritage walks now and development along those lines.
Oh, yeah.
There'll be the new Changi Museum opening, though we went to the original Changi Museum because it changed again, I think, after we'd been, my husband and I.
Did you earlier say,
No.
Barbara, that John Cooper could do a video?
I was
Did
thinking
you?
John Cooper, if we did a book
Yeah.
thing, if John
But
Cooper
I
did,
have actually done one on his book. That
right,
is actually on, if you look in the security pages
yeah,
and you look for John Cooper, that was a very long interview. I think that was 2 hours.
yeah.
Yeah,
We said we planned it for about an hour and we just kept on talking.
Well, yeah,
He
he's
is,
so
he is,
interesting.
he is very, very interesting to talk to.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a good interview.
He
yeah,
didn't
Oh,
have relations there, but I mean, I like history, so I'll read anything on history. And we got talking about, because he's Canadian, but he really is bases in Scotland.
yeah.
So he was he left the Far East actually to go back to Scotland to do a history trail.
PhD.
Yeah,
He's doing a PhD at the
no,
moment.
no, to do a history trail of all the battles in Scotland. So he'd do an actual map with all the battles and a trail going to each one. That's what his initial thing was, and
Yeah,
he's ever so interesting to talk
yeah.
to.
yeah.
But John, I'm sure we could get people to do videos. I mean, Louise's was very good.
It was excellent.
She did it on the Changi Cross, but of course she did a book on her father.
I helped that, Ron. I helped
Yeah,
in that, Ron.
yeah, you did.
Barbara,
You were in
Barbara,
that.
Barbara,
Yeah.
let me tell you now, Singapore is well worth a visit.
Oh, we've
I've been,
been.
I've been twice.
Before I even researched my father, that's where I went to begin it. Really, was
Yeah, well,
Singapore.
I've been twice, and
Yeah.
when they got to find out who I was, I was treated like royalty.
Oh, fabulous.
I
Yeah.
even went to a banquet, and I sat next to the head of state.
Wow. Wow.
I did. I felt really, really important, but
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I didn't have a dry eye the whole time I was there,
Yeah.
because the places I saw and the people that I spoke to, and I was on television, I was in the newspaper. They couldn't have done more.
Yeah, the main
But
thing, Bernard, was they let you lift up the cross.
yes,
They let
yes,
you hold the cross.
a little Chinese woman, and I'd been in contact with her with the email, and they haven't got computers themselves. You see, they can't afford them. And I said, I can't think of it. Oh, Lorraine, no, I can't think of her name. Anyway, I said, can I have the cross out of the case, because it was in the Perspex case, and she said, yes, we've unscrewed it, and all you got to do is to lift the Perspex case off. And I did that, and I held it. I absolutely broke down.
Yes.
And
Very emotional.
there was at least 100 people around me, and I absolutely broke down. It brings tears to my eyes now. And
What shell was it made out of? You keep telling me, but I keep forgetting.
Is it a 4.5 inch?
Oh no, let Bernard tell us.
4.5 howitzer shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4.5 howitzer shell.
Yeah.
And
So how did the Japanese let him get it though? I mean, for him to use it, you know.
He was a POW, Ronnie. Anything's possible when you're a POW.
I'm
he had
a radio.
he had a workshop. He had a workshop.
Yeah, but
And
I'm a radio and television engineer. An article I was reading was that that's what I'm interested in, and building the radios in the camps and everything. And and this chap wrote in one of his books. He actually wrote the book on it, and why what happened when he was actually doing the railways and the radios in the camps. That he used to repair the Japanese radios, and because in those days they weren't super heterodyne, they were individual stages. So you amplified the signal, and all the way through. And he used to take out one of the amplified valves to use in his radios and give them back to the Japanese. So they had a working radio, but it weren't as powerful as it used to be. But they didn't. He used to just pinch the bits out of the radios too. That's fantastic. Anyway,
next year, Ronnie, 2020, there's the conference coming up in June. I'm in Singapore in September.
Mention my name when you go, Keith.
Right.
They'll know me.
You'll get privileged treatment if you did mention his name.
Got VJ Day in August, so we're going to have it's starting to very slowly. Well, for me, it's starting to fill up. But yeah, I wouldn't mind doing the Thailand trip. I found Jack Chalker in one of the sick registers yesterday, a Trunkai sick register. Just going through his name, going through and looking for names as Martin suggested I do. It's quite interesting.
It's amazing what pops up.
I think I found Mary Michael's father in at least 4 entries. I know he wasn't very well on the railway, so that's quite interesting. So I've got to contact Mary now.
I put most of Mary's because, you know, I did a lot on Mary's dad, and it is on the Roll of Honour. If you have a look at his site on the Roll of Honour, there is quite a bit on there. Did she get a dog again? Because
her
dog died.
Her latest dog has passed away, and she's not getting another one.
No.
Or she said she's not.
No.
So,
did she get all the repairs done to her house?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yes.
Anyway, it's been a fantastic meeting. We were over time by 1 3/4 hours, and I promised my wife we'd got North Norfolk today because I've been sitting on the computer for ages. So I promised her we'd got North Norfolk, so I've got to go now. But 11:45, I think we've had a good chat. Everyone, I think that's been really
absolutely
good.
I've enjoyed this, so thank you. Very much.
It's nice to see you, Matt, and make it again.
I will. Now I've got it on the computer. I'll stick it on the phone as well if it'll let me. It's nice to put some faces, especially to Martin, because I've read his work and I watched his, well, not actually his, but the documentary of the week. I've read all your stuff, Ronnie, of course. And Janice, I think I've spoken with you on Facebook before about things, and Bernard, well, I know that name so well.
Once seen, you can't forget Bernard.
Infamous is the word. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to meet you all, and I look forward to next time.
So
you can email me.
I will do.
Getting back to what we were saying, you'd be happy doing the draw, saying what book we're going to have the next month. Now, interviews, I am up to my neck trying to get this done, and it's going to be years of work. It's not going to be just done in months. It's going to be years of work. Now, what I can do is set up an interview. If somebody wants to do an interview, Barbara, I know you've got problems at home, but would you be interested, because you're well spoken, people can understand what you're talking about. Would you like to do an interview on somebody who is we're going to draw their book that month? Would you be happy in doing it? That would only take about half an hour.
When you say
He
do an
doesn't
interview,
pay you, Barbara. Barbara doesn't pay you.
Yeah, I can organise the interview within Blue Jeans.
do you mean I interview somebody, or
Yes. So
that's fine. No point interviewing me.
No,
I'm deadly boring.
No, I want you to do the interview.
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that.
So if I could get you to maybe do the interviews for the draw.
Yeah.
I mean, Keith has got a lot on, and I honestly think all of us that Barbara is understandable, and she can put things over so we can get some answers from somebody. Because I know what Barbara's like. She'll have a written thing where it'll ask that question.
I'd
and
like
so
to
Barbara,
confirm, Ronnie.
Go on then.
I'm quite happy with, yes, I think Barbara should. She is well spoken. I think she'd be good. I will finish this list today, of the books. I don't know exactly how many. I bought a load earlier in the year, typically for this. Some are new, all are in good condition. Some have never been even read, even by me. I was thinking I was to read that, but no, it's brand new. So I'll send forward the list, and it's the next one we can decide then if you're going to go ahead and how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And if everybody can have some thoughts about how we should promote it, that'd be ideal.
I think a video interview on normal Facebook, saying we're going to do a draw within the FEPOW charity, a normal, so we can promote the book. This is the main thing. Promote the book on Facebook. We might even get links into FEPOW if somebody is interested in FEPOW to put it on the Facebook page. I mean, I'm members of that as well. So maybe we could get that on their page so we can get more promotion. We're promoting the book, by the way. We're not promoting FEPOW Family. We're promoting the book.
Promoting the book and promoting membership. That's what we're going to retain. Yes, we're going to giving this book away. Some of these people who've written books I'm going to present you are long gone. But that, in some respects, makes it even more desirable because you can't buy the books anymore.
I mean, you all know one of my best books is John Coost. I still think that's a fantastic book. Railway of Death. Yeah, something like that.
I mean,
but it's a brilliant book.
I've got a book which I shall be offering up, which is, memories. The title was written by a person who's helping my father, and that's one of the books I wasn't going to. And I thought, well, I said, do I know? He spoke to her dad about him, and Dad was against him doing it, but he did it. But I was forced to use that list, and like I say, if everybody can think for the next month of how they can do it, I don't even mind. I mean, I buy books in Australia, so Martin, I don't even mind sending the book to Australia.
I think
if you can just have thoughts how to do it, and in the meanwhile, I think we need to decide before we even start doing it which book we're going to start off with.
Yeah.
And so by giving you a list of books, you can decide who you can get hold of for Barbara to interview. Yeah. And we start off with a author interview and book. So you can start off and later perhaps introduce you can't have the author because they've passed away or because they're unavailable, but there's a book. And
I think what we want to do at the beginning, Matt, is start off with books that we can get hold of the authors, just to start it off well, and that way we can then start promoting it on. Use 2 or 3 books at the beginning so we can get interviews.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm sure Martin would like to do an interview. So
Martin can send me lots of questions to ask him, can't you, Martin?
Yeah.
Sure.
You can set me up for that one. Yeah. Could I also recommend people like Ellie Taylor, Julie Summers?
Yeah. I've actually Meg. You were talking about Meg. I have actually tried my best with Meg. She does get in touch quite a bit, and
she's very busy.
I've tried my best with her to try and get her on Facebook and do an interview, but she is a busy lady, and I don't think she likes that. She doesn't like Facebook. She just doesn't like Facebook at all. Anyway, but you bear in mind though that we are a closed group. Don't let the publicity what Facebook is being thrown out about Facebook put you off what we're doing within the Facebook group. If anyone starts arguing or using bad language, they're taken out straight away. And me and Jan keep a really tight. And if people start arguing, they're told to stop it. If they don't stop it, they're out. We don't have no
Yeah.
racist stuff, no bad language, anything like that. It's a
That's
straightforward. We're there to talk about the FEPOWs or anything in the Far East. We're not there to have a go at people.
yeah.
We
Those
have
are
got
my
one.
site rules on my site as well.
Yeah,
Basically, be
yeah,
polite, be respectful, no bad language, no
no,
sales, no nothing. If they do, I
yeah.
just took them off.
We have got one person
Oh,
within Facebook, normal Facebook, who keeps promoting a certain book. You'll all know how I mean. And I got so fed up with him last month.
sorry, Mark.
The book, and
No,
even
I'm fine.
been the book
Sorry,
hasn't
this is
even
going on longer than it should do.
the book hasn't even been released yet. And I took it off. I just deleted his thing. That's absolutely stupid. Every flipping week he puts an advert on for a book that he hasn't even released it yet. And I had the privilege of him coming around my house, and I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't do it again. Yeah, I wouldn't do it again. Most likely,
Right.
most of what I told him will be in the book. And anyway, so we're okay. Our next meeting, the 2nd of June.
Okay, that's
Okay,
fine with me.
everyone. And by that time, we can, if you send me a list, I'll get it up North Norfolk, although I can't upload any pages from the web pages up Norfolk, but I get my emails and I'm building the pages up Norfolk, compiling the database up Norfolk, so I can get it up North Norfolk and I can reply. There's no problem with that. And then we can get a list, try and make the first few books interviewable. Maybe Martin, although you haven't, we're not talking about your book, Matt. We're saying, Martin, if we can maybe promote your book right at the beginning.
Sure.
Yeah.
I've got
And,
Martin's book.
Yeah, well, I
Um,
don't want you to do the book you've got, because Martin said he would, unless Martin
I
sends
wouldn't
you a book.
do Martin's book because he signed it. Well, his father signed it
Yeah,
for me.
signed it. Yeah, I mean, he signed mine as well. I love signed books. Anyway, yeah, just quickly, I was looking through some books the other day. Arthur Lane. Yeah,
Yeah.
someone said to me about Arthur Lane, and I've got loads of his books. And I came across, we talked about this a long time ago. Cyril, who was killed in the air crash at the,
Oh,
Wild.
Wasn't it?
Cyril Wild. Major
Yeah.
Cyril Wild.
Cyril Wild, that's
Or
right.
Lieutenant Colonel.
he was killed, in the air crash when
the
he,
ADC, yes.
yeah. I came across his book because he used to write to me loads of emails about why he was killed, because he was bringing up things the British government and the American government didn't want in the war crimes trials, and so they actually stopped him. The plane didn't accidentally crash. That's according to Arthur.
Yeah.
That was correct. And I came across the book he sent me, and it actually signed it. He signed it to me. Why they killed him? Oh dear. He's a nice old boy, but when he got something in his mind, that was it. Anyway, I got off the subject again. The 2nd of June.
Yeah.
The 2nd of June, we'll have a next meeting. By then, if we get a list of what we can do, I can start thinking about the list and what you can do, Barbara.
Okay.
I don't mind putting things on Facebook, and I don't mind putting pages on the web pages, but please don't ask me to do much else, because I'm really involved in getting this roll done, and it is quite heavy. And then when I get the roll done, I've got to go back on it and back on it again. So that's going to be years. That's not going to be months. So I don't mind doing certain things, but I do need help.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Right.
Very
Great. That has been a really good meeting. New face, new ideas. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
New
Yes, that's
face.
good, yes.
Yeah. This is what I was trying to say last time we had a meeting. If we can get more people on board, we do have the same faces, but a new face does generate more information or generate new leads, if you like, to go along. Okay? So, yeah, very good. So we'll end it now. I'll end the recording, or I'll stop the recording now.